Now, ladies and gentlemen, in the dawn of CS2's existence, Valve began updating Counter-Strike at a pace most fans of CSGO never thought was possible, receiving 2 to 4 lengthy blog posts a week to now just a fraction of what it once was, and in some weeks we're lucky to see anything at all. Now, the obvious answer to why Valve has reduced their pace updating Counter-Strike 2 over the last few months is, well, yes, the game isn't anywhere near perfect, but it's inching closer every update. That being aside from a working anti-cheat, small to enormous outstanding bugs that need to be patched, and FPS and optimization. Aside from those large categories, what else is there to fix? Which that now leads us to brand new content inside Counter-Strike 2, which CS2 has extremely lacked new content from its initial release of the limited test. These updates these last few months sometimes don't even get a blog post, and also arrive in a shadow update format, which is pretty new. Now yes, some of the patches we do receive inside CS2 aren't really blog post worthy, but if a new feature is rolled out, such as a competitive cooldown, that being for cheaters, or Valve's war in the Gambit industry, wouldn't you like to know? Today's video, I want to take a look at the past and current update cycle for Counter-Strike 2, stemming from CSGO and their improvement inside CS2, and how that can look for the future of what to expect coming soon for Counter-Strike. Now today's video sponsor is SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a buying but most notably trading marketplace, that being for your CS2 items. You can trade off your old skins for something new. All you do is log in with Steam, you start a trade, and any cash remaining goes to your available balance on the site. When it comes to trading an item you don't have enough balance for on the site, SkinsMonkey has a large variety of deposit options. By using my code MANDO, you can get up to a free $5, and by depositing alongside using my code, you get an additional 35% of a deposit bonus. With SkinsMonkey's large variety of skins, they also offer daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways. If interested, the link will be in the top of the description down below. Now this isn't me in the post edit, this is actually me just recording this video before it goes live today, but there's some brand new news from the Counter-Strike data miner known as GameFollower. Links to him will be in the description. Within the past couple of hours, he put a very interesting tweet out suggesting Valve is working on a brand new game released at an unknown date. Now in the tweet, he said Deadlock is Valve's next game, previously known as Neon Prime and Citadel. It's a competitive third-person hero-based shooter, 6v6 battling on 4-lane maps, usable abilities and items, tower defense mechanics, fantasy setting mixed with steampunk, magicians, weird creatures, and robots, fast travel using floating rails similar to BioShock Infinite. Now in a tweet below this one, he said basically a fast-paced, interesting ADHD gameplay, combination of Dota, Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, Valorant, Smite, and Orcs Must Die. Hero design pretty much inspired by the Dota universe. Many map references, modern steampunk European city, a little bit like Half-Life. Initially the game had sci-fi elements inspired by Half-Life and Portal, but after bad feedback, the dev team decided to focus on fantasy gameplay. Now this itself might be its own video later this week or possibly tomorrow, but the reason I wanted to include it in today's video is maybe this is the reason that Valve hasn't and isn't really working on Counter-Strike 2 or really any of their other titles. And how I read this is pretty much the Dota killer, and Dota 2 makes Valve a whole lot of money, as well as they get a boatload of viewers for their majors. Now if this next game called Deadlock is a hit, will Dota 2 hit the road? And if Valve sees how successful it is, what if Valve makes another game like Counter-Strike but it's not called Counter-Strike? That's a discussion for another time. It's crazy, it's a conspiracy theory. Let's go back to today's regular programming. Now firstly for today's video, we're going to start off by rewinding back to the days of CSGO. Aside from VAC being terrible with next to no anti-cheat, the only thing holding together at the time was the janky thing known as the trust factor, just like today in the present day. CSGO towards the end of its life cycle wasn't perfect, but it was damn near close. It had all the skins, new weapons, maps, and modes, and competitive. And what I'm trying to say with this is we had options, where in Counter-Strike 2, at least as of now, does not. Now over the last few months, I've come to the conclusion that I believe some of the reason we haven't received all this yet, and didn't at launch, is I think Valve saw a lot of these side modes and less popular modes such as Danger Zone, not worthy, at least in CS2's launch, worthy of an upgrade. Before CS2 was revealed and leaks started flowing, a new game called Counter-Strike Source 2 was on the way. CSGO was bone dry then and even before CS2's development, which that is exactly what many Counter-Strike fans are worried about right now is happening with Counter-Strike 2 and going forward. Now with that being said, I now want to discuss what updates are next for Counter-Strike 2. Now there's the obvious, we'll receive new content such as an operation, new maps, new modes, at least at some point, but what is coming now or is soon to be around the corner? Now in my personal opinion, within the next few months, I think we'll see dozens of new and big bug fixes, one to polish up the game, but also small to medium-sized patches to better subtick, hitboxes, and performance, as well as VAC, which speaking of performance is something I don't see mentioned enough in the community. Now if you have a modern day PC with up-to-date drivers, the performance isn't all too bad, but for those who don't tweak their NVIDIA or AMD settings as well as in-game, it's not always a great time, especially when it comes to FPS. For out-of-date PCs that are over 6 to 10 years old, I think it's just obvious at this point that you have to upgrade at some point or another, whether you're playing Counter-Strike 2 or not. Now for specific updates going forward, I think we'll see 2 to 6 more updates similar to the Arms Race update in February and the On the Other Hand update this last month, where Valve will add new/returning features alongside a long list of performance enhancements and an FPS update. Now with updates coming soon, I now want to talk about updates that we received in the past. Valve has had a tendency to not always include everything they fix, as well as adding, removing, or changing something and including that in the blog post. Now some of the time this is unintentional, such as a new bug. If something happens because of an update, they obviously can't include it because they didn't know that was going to be the problem. But some bad better and more detail would be much appreciated so players can see if something was intentional or not. Now, one of many examples of this is something that happened recently, such as the introduction of competitive cooldowns for irregular gameplay. That's in Valve's words, not my own. My own words for that is full-blown cheaters. Now, take this as you will, but I don't think Valve wanted to include this in a blog post because it would probably get some backlash. Valve simply doesn't have enough Steam support employees to look over all the brought upon cheater cases, so they just handed out cooldowns. But this update was hidden in the fine print for Counter-Strike. Now, I don't really want to, but I feel like I have to say this. Counter-Strike 2 is a new game. It's built upon a brand new engine. Now, it's not brand new for Valve, but it is for Counter-Strike. To clarify, this is not an excuse for Valve, nor any other company based upon how much money they make just simply off cases every single year. But with the knowledge of making CS2 and the updates last year, alongside the fact that glitches are bound to happen, but sometimes every CS2 update that comes out breaks more than it fixes. An easy solution is something that we just mentioned, is just to include more detail of what got changed so we know if it was intentional or not. Now, if you guys remember a little under a year ago, Valve had what it feels like the very first interview for Counter-Strike, that being with PC Gamer. And going back through that article, which I think is very important, and I haven't seen too many people discuss it, it suggested that the first year of Counter-Strike 2 would just be fixing the game and then new content would start to flow. And within the next few months, believe it or not, we're going to be coming up at that 1 year mark. So will we be receiving content anytime soon? Now, if you guys want a video of what Valve has followed through with and what they maybe will or will not add based off of recent leaks and data mines, let me know down below. Lastly, for today's video, since we're touching every single subject that involves an update inside Counter-Strike 2, I now want to talk about the introduction of VAC 2 inside Counter-Strike 2. At this moment, we don't know or have much on it, as Valve is really keeping this under wraps so they don't have the source code leaked, which for those who don't know, this would lead to cheating devs finding out workarounds before Valve's anti-cheat would even fully release. Just like CS2, the build up to CSGO we inch closer every update, with small strings being copied over into Counter-Strike 2, that being for the game's release and not an anti-cheat, but right now we are talking about an anti-cheat for CS2, if that makes any sort of sense. In the present day, we're seeing small things such as Overwatch being copied over into Counter-Strike 2 and being released, and just things of that nature. Now let me know what you guys think down below of Valve's recent update cycle. What's first on your list for what Valve needs to improve on the most? If that's their communication with the community, with how they communicate in blog posts, if they need to have a community manager, or what do you feel like they need to improve on in the game the most? With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay positively sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.